As part of our divorce agreement, my ex-husband was supposed to have a $1 million life insurance policy with our daughter listed as the beneficiary. He was not supposed to change his policy without my approval. He passed away last year, and I found out he added his other 2 kids to the policy without asking me. He didn't even raise the amount of the policy, so it would have meant that our daughter would have gotten a third of the money instead of everything she was supposed to get. I immediately went to a lawyer to see what could be done. He got the court to stop the insurance company from paying out until this was dealt with. It's now been officially settled that all the money was put into a trust for my daughter. It caused a bit of tension with my ex's wife, Emma, the other kid's mother, to say the least. I still see her every so often when dropping off or picking up my daughter at my ex-in-laws. They're all very nice people and fortunately have been there as a buffer so all 3 kids can still have a relationship with each other without Emma and I having to be too involved. However, there are still times when I drop off or pick up my daughter when I run into Emma. Every single time I do, she brings up how broke she is. Yesterday I bumped into her again after we dropped the kids off. I admit it wasn't my finest moment, but as I was heading to my car, she brought up being broke again, and I rolled my eyes. That set her off, and she brought up the life insurance money again, and how much of a witch I was to take that money away from her kids. They deserved the money just as much as my daughter and should have gotten an equal share, and that it was what their father wanted. They got left with nothing because of me. Thankfully, all the kids were inside while this happened. I decided to leave and not engage her, but it's still bothering me. Am I the idiot for contesting my ex-husband's life insurance and taking it away from my daughter's poor half-siblings? Edit. My daughter's a tween. Emma's kids are a young grammar schooler and a preschooler. The divorce was 6 years ago. I am not in control of my daughter's trust and cannot move the money around or give some of the money to the siblings. I can only ask for certain expenses for my daughter paid directly from the trust with the trustee's approval. So this was a mistress turned wife? Not the idiot. It's not your fault your ex decided to go against his divorce agreement instead of setting something up for his other 2 children and the new wife. His actions aren't on you. You went legally to get what was owed to your child. Legally, you're in the right, and ethically, the mistake is his. Oh, and everyone's saying you should have just shared it with his other 2 kids really doesn't seem to understand that it's not your money, and it never was. You advocated for your child, the legal recipient of that payout, to receive the full amount of what she's legally entitled to. It's not just some arbitrary thing, and it was enforced because an insurance policy is a legally binding contract, and so is your divorce agreement. 100% this. The idiot is the ex who failed to get a policy for his additional children. He knew this might not hold up, but didn't care to purchase a second policy. The new wife's anger should be directed at him. All OP did was enforce what had already been determined legally. Possible, but you're assuming that given the size of the policy, he may have had enough income to justify greater coverage. I'm just pointing out that the typical American middle-class person will not get approved for $3 million in term life, $1 million for each kid. Did she know about the divorce settlement and that he'd changed the policy without you knowing? If she did, then she's a victim of her own doing. There's no way the ex-husband didn't understand the divorce decree. He just played a stupid game and assumed he wouldn't die. So who would know? Emma either was lied to by him or was in on it too. He was likely expecting a mix of not finding out until it was too late after the payout and that you would feel so bad for abandoning his other children. He left them with nothing. Not you. You didn't do that. Dude set one woman up to blame the other when the dominoes fell, when really he was trying to screw them both. My wife works about an hour away from our home. I work mostly remotely at home, so I've been the one to take care of our girls, pre-tween and younger child, for a few years now. I drive them to school and to practices, and I usually eat lunch with them. We eat dinner at 7 as a family. This is a non-negotiable because the girls get home at 6 from after-school activities, and we both agreed that they should sleep, preferably at 9 to 10. Dinner's usually a chance for us to sit and bond. Because my wife works from 9 to 4 to 5 during the weekday, she usually barely sees them during the weekdays. We spend much time together on the weekend, though. Additionally, she isn't vegan, but she comes from a Buddhist family and prefers to reduce animal products in her diet. Because of this, she comes home and usually takes a lot of time to make her dinner by herself. When she's done making the food, either one or both girls are finished eating, or they're almost finished eating, and she's missed out on a ton of them talking about their day. I've tried finding solutions, like cooking for her beforehand or cooking a vegetarian meal for the whole family. Still, she doesn't like my cooking, even when I try to imitate her meals. So far, I've been texting her what she wants to make and cleaning and prepping the food for her, but sometimes she changes her mind, or she takes a while to cook anyway. I've tried talking to her about it, but she says, "What do you want me to do? Starve at the dinner table?" She says she wants to hear about their day too, but it's just not feasible. So I told her that Tuesday and Thursdays, I would make the food for us as a family, and she would eat with us. She told me that I'm an idiot because she works hard every day, and she just wants to eat her own food, not be forced to eat mine. I think spending time with the family during the week is important. Am I the idiot? Also, I think I'm a pretty good cook. I'm not amazing or anything, but the girls like my food. I'm pretty weirded out that you think a parent who works fewer hours than the average adult barely sees them on weekdays. Like most Americans of my generation, and most of the younger generations as well, I grew up with two working parents. Treating it as a strange, aberrant thing that one parent works outside the home for 35 to 40 hours a week is pretty bizarre. Forcing another adult to eat food they don't like rarely goes well, fights in resentment and tension. But what your wife is doing does sound unreasonable. It shouldn't routinely take over 2 hours to make a weekday dinner. If she wants to cook for herself, she needs to start choosing recipes that are less time-consuming or doing much more advanced prep after the kids are at bed. Everyone's the idiot here. You for trying to treat her like a child, her for investing so much time into cooking so often that she doesn't have much time for her family. I agree with everything but the judgment. OP has been taking on the majority of raising the girls during the week and rightfully expects at least some quality family time. I also appreciate that OP has tried to figure out solutions, and I agree the wife seems like she doesn't want any of it. It seems that OP is working, raising the kids, and volunteering to do anything for their wife to have dinner together, but she can't eat his food, or it keeps changing her mind? What sort of BS is this? Strong, not the idiot. I'm shocked people are saying differently. My brother married Carly 10 years ago, and they asked to use my beachfront property as the venue. I said, sure, but you have to pay me. It's not like I can let someone use it for free, and I don't have costs such as utilities. I'm not rich like that. They were insulted, so I told them to ask Carly's rich daddy to pay. That set in motion a long-standing grudge between Carly and me. My brother got over it after he understood where I was coming from. They did quite well for themselves, but she felt insulted and entitled, and I refused to apologize. They have a preteen son, Addison, who I'm very close to. I'm like a second dad to that kid. My brother has been battling cancer for a few years, and his health is declining. He made it clear that he wants me to play an active role in Addison's life and be the dad he won't be able to be. The only person making that hard is Carly. I finally told her that my brother's impending death was more significant than her grudge against me, and she needed to drop it because her only child would need me more than ever. She said not to talk to her that way. I said, I'm not my brother and I'm not your dad. I don't think you're a princess. Grow up. If I were you, I'd learn from this and do what's best for that boy. So, am I the idiot for telling my sister-in-law it's time to get over my declining her and my brother using my property for their wedding? I told them to ask Carly's rich daddy to pay, and I said, I'm not your brother, and I'm not your dad. I don't think you're a princess. Grow up. If I were you, I'd learn from this and do what's best for that boy. Gee, I wonder why she doesn't want you around. Sir, you are the idiot. In all honesty, given how you speak to and about her, being around you might not be in Addison's best interest. You're rude to people and then refuse to apologize. This is also a pretty poor example to set. She's about to lose her husband, and you showed no compassion, only contempt. Agree, OP is the idiot. I wouldn't want OP around my child setting an example. He's about to be shocked when his brother dies, and she doesn't need him and actually chooses to keep him away. Dude, if you want to see your nephew, you need her, not vice versa. And frankly, you come across as extremely full of yourself. That child needs you? No, he doesn't. There are other ways for her to find positive male role models for her son. While I agree that she's wrong for nurturing a grudge, in her position, I wouldn't want you around my son either. Newsflash, Carly isn't holding a grudge about you not letting them use the property for the wedding. She just doesn't like you because of the complete lack of respect and decency you have for her. If you care about your nephew, you must do some major self-reflection. You come off as very arrogant and misogynistic in the way you speak about your sister-in-law. If you continue behaving this way, you will not have any relationship with her son after your brother dies. Your property, your decision. Her son, her decision. See how that works? I, male 35, have been married to my wife 33 for 10 years, and we have a son, pre-tween. My wife is a homemaker, and I work as an engineer. We have a joint account, and she can access my other accounts. I've always trusted her and never controlled the money. A few weeks ago, I noticed some strange money transactions going to her account and my rarely accessed account. There were several dollar transfers to her account on different days. I asked my wife what she used the money for, but she tried evading the question. I kept pressing, and she confessed. She was using this money to gamble on online betting sites. She lost over $9,000 in gambling in the past few weeks. She admitted to having a gambling problem and was trying to stop. I decided to cut off her access to our finances and give her an allowance. She was very upset and said I was being unfair and controlling. I think I'm being reasonable. I'm not sure if I can trust her again after what she did. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You are doing the smart thing, protecting what you still have for both of you. You'd be dumb not to. That being said, if you value the marriage and if she does too, she needs therapy to overcome this and earn your trust back. And she needs a part-time job to occupy her time now that your kid is in school. She's probably bored and was looking for something to do when she got hooked on online gambling. I would ask her to stay with her parents until she gets help. I have a warning for you. Just because you cut off her access to the finances that you have, you probably need to freeze your credit card as well. I have no doubt she knows your social security number. She can easily apply for a payday loan or a line of credit on your house by using an online company. All she'll need is social security numbers and your personal information, which I'm sure she has, along with your tax returns. I know that sounds harsh and final, but when you have children involved and there's an addict of any kind, the child's needs come first. Your wife only came clean because she got caught, so you need to lock down all your credit. So I'm 28 female, engaged to Jake, 27 male. We've been together for 5 years, and I'm pregnant with our second child, who's due any day now. I get along with his family except for Jenny, who was dating Jake from ages 14 to 16. She ended up moving in with them because of issues at home, and she's also super close to his sister. Jake told me when they broke up, it caused issues, and he ended up moving out at 17 to live with his uncle, which Jenny saw as them choosing her. Jake was no contact with his family when we got together, but they ended up speaking again after we had our first child, and Jenny had at that stage claimed them as her own family for as long as I've known her. She makes jokes about being the favorite and that if any of the siblings or their partners get on her wrong side, she'll have them kicked out of the family, like she did Jake. Not true. When we first met them, Jenny was extremely cold and rude to me. She kept making comments about how disappointed she was in Jake. It's not gotten better. She told me multiple times I'll never be a part of their family and keeps making out like I'm just a fling that'll disappear one day. My in-laws had a get-together tonight for dinner and a few drinks. Obviously, with me being 2 days overdue, everyone was buzzing and giving me attention, which made Jenny angry. I came out of the bathroom at one stage, and Jenny, who had one too many, was waiting for me. She told me that no matter how many times I get pregnant, or even when I wear my white dress, she looked me up and down. Even though I shouldn't, she'll still always be more important, because if they choose her over their son, they'll choose her over some loose woman who got pregnant after dating a guy for 6 weeks. I told her, actually, I'm more important, and I'm never going away because I'm the mother of their grandchildren, and I'm going to have their last name, which Jake nor his parents ever gave her, and all she is to them is a charity case who needs to get over her ex. Whole different story there. And she needs to see a therapist to work on her issues. Then I told her to sober up because she looks pathetic. She then broke down crying, and everyone came to see what was going on. I told Jake I wanted to go home. After hearing the whole story, his family's on my side, but his sister's mad about what I told her and said it's triggered her abandonment issues, which will put Jenny back into a dark place. Am I the idiot for telling my fiance's sister I'm going nowhere? Not the idiot. Jenny needs therapy, lots of it. Whatever happened with her family led to her fixation and fear of losing this family, but it's not an excuse to insult you and your place in the family. You didn't trigger her abandonment issues. They were on full display when she confronted you. If your future sister-in-law cares about Jenny, she should stop blaming you and get her friend some help. You were so close to not being the idiot, but then you told her that she's never going to mean anything to her family. That's how they treat her and how she likely views them, because she's just a charity case. That's excessively cruel. She was a child when she came to live with them. Do you think she was in a good place when that happened? Throwing someone's childhood trauma in their face like that wasn't necessary. You could have stopped at the grandchildren part. She was way out of line, but you know she has some serious issues. You went right for the jugular anyway. You are the idiot. I do not for the life of me understand all the you are the idiots. So what if you went for the jugular? You've put up with her for long enough. Don't dish it out if you can't handle someone clapping back. Honestly, I hate when someone gets crap for clapping back. You are not the idiot. Not every human alive is expected to be a saint. You can be petty and mean. I don't believe in starting a fight, but you sure can end it. And Jenny needs more than a lot of therapy. That poor girl needs to go away to someplace quiet for 30 days where there's nothing but therapy. She sounds like a mess. Update. Am I the idiot for telling my fiance's sister I'm going nowhere? So my in-laws came over today to talk about what's going on. Jake explained he doesn't want our family around Jenny anymore because her behavior is alarming. He said his family's free to come to our house to see our kids, but Jenny isn't allowed. Nor does he want her around us in the future because he hates her, and so does his other brother and his wife. His parents said they understood and apologized for everything, but his sister said they couldn't just shut her out because of her mental state. Jake said if she wants to keep Jenny in her life, that's fine, but she isn't family to us, and we don't want her in our lives. Sister-in-law said Jenny's her sister, and if we don't allow her to the wedding or family events, she won't go. She'll get another sibling to boycott too, which was hilarious and cringeworthy because they told her then and there they wouldn't boycott anything for Jenny. My sister-in-law then turned to me and said if anything happens to Jenny, I'm responsible because I started this. I told her I didn't care about Jenny or her mental health. She's a grown woman that needs to work on her issues, and she ended up leaving more angry than she arrived. My in-laws seemed to be taking accountability for their part in letting Jenny's behavior go unchecked for so long, but we'll see how things play out. My mom and sister arrived earlier today, so I feel more at ease, especially since I'm beginning to get a feeling my daughter's going to make her entrance into the world in the next day or two. Thank you all.